Welcome back to Twitch and Box Sports Talk State of the Teams. This week we only have two teams getting recapped here. We got the Steelers and the Broncos. Big happenings in the Steelers world today. So I'm going to throw it over to Twitch. He has a lot to talk about here. But Twitch, what is the state of the Steelers here Tuesday after the playoff loss?
Well, one of the biggest offseason moves, no matter what happens from here on out. I don't just say that biasly as a Steelers fan, but for the last 19 years, Super Bowl winning coach Mike Tomlin has been on the headline, the sideline of the Steelers, as been talked about. Resigns today, so Pittsburgh going with a new direction. Pittsburgh only having, for what it's worth, the Rooney family known for being loyal, and obviously not having a losing season that even predates Tomlin. So having a losing season since 2003. So that being said. Pittsburgh with the history, tied for most Super Bowl wins, stability, competitiveness, playing like the fan base is one of the top. It's one of those top fan bases when you think of football. You think of the Packers, you think of the Steelers, you think so. Point being in that is I feel like it's going to be a hot coaching vacancy. So I feel like the trick's going to be. Pittsburgh, since 1969, since the hiring of Chuck Noll, they've only had 3 coaches. And so if you think about some of these other teams like the Browns, like the Bengals, like some of these other teams that they've gone through in the last decade, that is quite a remarkable accomplishment for 56 years and only 3 head coaches, all winning at least one Super Bowl. But I feel like it's above time. I've said that. And again, it's nothing. I have to remember that it's people's livelihood. And I said, I think Tomlin, you listen to the certain guys talk about him. I think that he's a good coach. I think he's probably a good human being for what he does outside and just his realness. But I feel like we talked about earlier this year too, it's kind of like Andy Reid with the Chiefs and when he was with the Eagles. I think it's time for a divorce between where I feel like both people could benefit. I think Tomlin goes somewhere next year, does TV next year, and then waits a year and goes back. I feel like he'll have a job wherever he wants to go, and still has plenty of coaching left. At least take another team to 9-8. So, but that being said, like I said, I feel like again, I said it's nothing personal. I said, but for all the people that were lambasting fans like myself, like all Pittsburgh fans, and they just don't know how good they have it, and he'd have a job tomorrow and stuff. That may be true, but I said, this is what I was tired of seeing. I said, there's a reason why I'm not smarter than anybody else. I know my team. I follow football, obviously, and I called it back in July, August. And I'm excited, and maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm excited. And it's that sounds morbid to say with the firing of Tom, because, I appreciate he got us to 2 Super Bowls, some good years, a lot of good players. But no, it's a 9-year playoff drought, not been contenders for a while now. Just feels kind of stagnant. So I'm excited. I'd rather have a couple. I'm gonna knock on wood here, but I'd rather have some 7 and 10 years being aggressive, trying a different direction, and be like, I see what we're trying, but we failed, rather than the way we've been going. So disappointing loss last night. I just feel like over those 7 playoff losses we've got so focused in on what the story on the other sideline is going to be, as far as what their story for the season or what they're good at. We get so caught up in, whereas we haven't had an identity in any of those 7 playoff games, and where we just but we're the Steelers, we do this really well, right back to counteract that. And so I'm excited to see. I'm going to assume, based on history, that, and because of the tradition, and Pittsburgh has always been a top defensive team, so I'm going to guess they're probably going to go with a defensive-minded head coach. So I've seen the Texans' defensive coordinator up for that. I've seen, as far as odds to be this next Steelers coach, I've seen Gary Kubiak's son, the offensive coordinator of the Seahawks, be a coaching candidate. Saleh getting a second chance. I don't think that'll happen. Harbaugh, that'd be an interesting one, just for the fact of obviously all the years, 18 years coaching against us. It'll be interesting. I think they'll go with a defensive-minded coach. Different offseason this year for Pittsburgh. I'm going to assume, too, that for the 5th consecutive year, I'm going to assume that we're going to be starting a new opening quarterback on opening day next year. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will be on the roster next year. So what I want to see as far as the offense is I love Jalen Warren. He's still under contract. I hope that I hope we go grab a number 2 receiver. I hope we hang on. We paid Freiermuth last year for a lot of money, so I hope we go out and get a quarterback. I'm going to assume that we'll probably do kind of what we did a couple of years ago with Pickett. And what I mean by that is we'll probably get a veteran guy, is my guess, or maybe we'll just keep Mason Rudolph. Which, oh my goodness, careful on my 6'11", 7'10" wish.
Yeah,
but
I
think they'll have a veteran on like they did a couple years ago with Mr. Trubisky. They'll have a veteran type, and then I think Pittsburgh will go early in the draft or be aggressive, hopefully, for a new signal caller. And I said I'd like to see another running back and a second cornerback. I said, but I feel like on linebacker and some of our defensive line depth, we're okay. But disappointing loss. I said it'll be interesting to see how we move going forward. I know. Well, last thing I want to say, I know it's not going to happen, but if it does happen, that we can say, you can hear it on this show. For not going to happen in a million years. But my personal wish, I want Bill Cowher brought back just for. He's not coming out of his cushy job, but I want to see Bill Cowher brought back. Make it happen, Pittsburgh. If you don't want to hire me, bring Cowher back. Do like a Joe Gibbs when he was with the Redskins. Just bring him back to bring the culture back for a couple of years. Not going to happen.
Yeah, would be interesting to say the least. I'm interested to see where the Steelers go as well. There's a lot of alley avenues they could go down here. Plenty of young defensive-minded coaches out there. A lot of older defensive-minded coaches out there as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the Steelers end up doing with that and in the quarterback room. Rolling into the state of the Broncos here. State of the Broncos playing the Bills this week. At home, coming off a bye. I'm not worried about. I lied. I'm a little worried, but I'm not nervous at all about coming out slow, just because it's Sean Payton. He's been here before. He's done that. He had the Saints team, a couple first round buys, and that's back with the Saints, you could get a second, or you could be the 1 seed or the 2 seed and get a bye. So he's been in this position before. I think he's probably handled it really well. I'm excited to see how our offense comes out and plays early, see if we're aggressive, because I feel like to win this game and to be in the position we want to be in at the end of the game, to be able to get in a position to have our defense get a stop on Josh Allen, or we control the ball and kill the game, I think we need to be aggressive early, because obviously Josh Allen's going to respond. We've seen that before. We've seen Josh Allen do it in the regular season. We've seen him do it in the postseason. He left Patrick Mahomes 13 seconds left in that one game, in that playoff game. They ended up losing just out of pure chaos. But I'm just interested. I'm excited for this game for sure. I think the Broncos will figure out a way to pull out the win. I think our defense is tuned perfectly for Josh Allen's skill set, with our edge rushers being more athletic guys that can run around and make plays on them, and Zach Allen on the interior. And, we have Huff at safety, who's willing to come up and hit the quarterback, not scared of contact whatsoever. Drake Greenlaw's coming back, Alex Singleton, the linebackers. So, Josh Allen rushing. With Franklin Myers as well at the other DT position, being able to hopefully keep pass rush running to keep Josh Allen in the pocket, make him throw the ball into our secondary. And, obviously obviously Gabe Davis goes down, which isn't as big of a deal as it would have been a couple years ago. But they don't have a true wide receiver one, so I think he's gonna pass the ball around to the tight ends who have been involved heavily this year when they haven't been hurt. And Shakir will get targets, and can't think of his name, older receiver that plays for him. So he obviously passed the ball around, but I think our defense is in a good spot for this. I think the key to this game is obviously keep Josh Allen from making those off script big time plays that he always makes, and then keep James Cook contained. Because James Cook, obviously, they get the running game going. It's hard to stop it. That offensive line, they just lean on it and run. And I think the Broncos on the other side, offensively, we need to be aggressive in certain situations, move the ball down the field, but also don't be. The Bills' defense doesn't necessarily scare me when it comes to being able to move the ball consistently against them. I think we can piece together drives. R.J. Harvey's had a great second half of the year since J.K. went down. So I think, get Harvey going early on the run game, and then we can work our play action game, which is exactly what Sean wants to do. I think we're in a good spot to win this game for sure. Excited to see how it goes either way. That's really all I got for the Broncos. I feel like the whole playoff slate's going to be a good one for sure. Don't really have anything else, so that's going to wrap up Twitch and Box Sports Talk State of the Teams Divisional Round Edition. Next week it will just be a State of the Broncos. I'll probably just record some other time, but appreciate LSV for having us out here. Appreciate Twitch and his boys coming out every Tuesday or every other week with the boys and Twitch, and then we'll catch you guys next week for the championship weekend.
Yeah.
Catch you guys later.